All right, Delegate Charkoudian, if you'd like to kick us off.
Great. Well, happy Friday, everyone. And I am Delegate Lord Charkoudian. I think I know many of the folks on here, but it's good to meet the rest of you. And so I'm welcome to this webinar and to folks who are gonna, are you trying to post something, Rose? There we go. Okay. Um, Welcome to the webinar. I'm just going to say a few words about the background of this and how
I'm
thrilled
in a
I am
webinar.
that we are at this point that we're doing a webinar, just sort of share the love and the ideas. As folks may know, I've been doing work on energy justice since I was elected and really spending a lot of time, building policies that were designed to address climate change, but specifically, household by household and making energy efficiency, weatherization, and electrification accessible to everybody in our community. And in particular, I've always focused on making sure all of these things are accessible for low income individuals, whether that's in multifamily housing, in single family housing, and as well as working on things like community solar. And so sort of the way that we make our climate change policies accessible to everybody in our communities has been a real focus of mine and several of my colleagues' efforts. What I realized a few years into this effort is how few of my constituents for whom I'm doing this knew how to access any of these programs. And so I started getting together with some of the grassroots groups in our community, starting in Long Branch, which is lower income sort of census tract area, and really asking these questions of like how do people get access? How do we make sure people know how to get access? And, I started talking about like, I want to do some kind of education about both climate change, climate justice, energy justice, how like do something along those lines. And of course, while I think these things are wildly exciting, if we're just sitting in a circle talking about them, not everyone agrees with me on that. And so we were like, how do we make a party out of it? And I was like, of course, like climate, energy, that's a party. And so we started working on making basically a party in the park with a focus on these climate areas, and specifically, and this is a really important piece, and you're going to hear about this as you hear from the various speakers today. But the really important piece for me was that this wasn't just another resource fair, that people were actually walking away from this event enrolled in programs, either directly enrolled or enrolled in the first step of whatever the enrollment was in those programs. And so out of that came Power in the Park, and we did the very first one, I think 5 years ago, maybe no, 4 years ago, in Long Branch. And we actually have reached a point in Long Branch where it's now a tradition. And when we do the outreach to community members, people remember it, they come back, they're excited that it's coming again. Um, and each year the participation grows, and each year the number of programs that we have, because we continue to expand and do really good policy work every year during the legislative session, the number of programs that we have for folks to sign up for also has been growing. So there's since then, I also expanded it to another part of my district, which is White Oak, and I have assisted a couple of other legislators to also do Power in the Park or something along those lines in their district. A few years ago, we decided to create a manual that everyone should have access to, or we can get you access to. Rose may be talking about how we're going to get access. Um, and that manual was designed to sort of help people put together something similar. And then we've had support from many of the groups who are here. I want to thank Jennifer for both her generosity in terms of financial support, but also in terms of really encouraging us to think more broadly about what we could do with this. And she was the inspiration behind this webinar, really to kind of continue our efforts to support the implementation of Power in the Park across the state. So, the way we do it, there's elements of it that really can be customized to the unique cultures and communities that it's being done in. And then there's some things that really kind of fit nicely, just the way that the program is designed to fit nicely in any space. And I think what you'll hear as we go through today is folks talking about how that works. The last thing that I will say is, for me, this, I talk about democracy is an ongoing conversation. And so while this program is really important for me personally to get all of the policies and programs I work on in the legislature to members of my community, it's also been really important for me to engage around these very programs in the Power in the Park. And I've learned from watching people try to sign up or watching people sign up, finding out if they were able to get the service or not, hearing people talk about their experiences, engaging with the people who are there. I've learned a lot about where programs need adjustment. And out of these conversations, I've been able to both bring additional legislation into the legislative arena, and I've also been able to engage with the various agencies who are involved and support them to improve the program so that they better meet the needs of our community. So all the way around, I think it's a really exciting program. I'm excited to share it. I'm excited to do whatever else we might do to support its implementation. And with that, I'll pass it back to Rose, who I think is managing the agenda and can take us to the next person.
Thank you so much, Delegate Charkoudian. Just to show people the agenda, we just heard from the delegate, and then we're going to hear from three of our key resource booths for the event who provide critical services day of, and they sign people up for programs and things along those lines. And then we'll hear from Brittany Baker, who organized the event for several years on Delegate Charkoudian's behalf and now works with the Chesapeake Climate Action Network, where she will go over deep outreach and the guide that Delegate Charkoudian mentioned, which we will send out to everyone along with the recording of this webinar afterwards. And then we will hear from Jennifer Laszlo Mizrahi, who is a financial sponsor and provides key insights on how to improve the event. And then you'll hear from Tierney Acosta and myself. And if you have any questions along the way, go ahead and put them in the chat. And then when we get to the Q&A portion, we will answer them. So our first speaker after Delegate Charkoudian is Olga Shands with the Office of Home Energy Programs, who has her own slides. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing mine.
Okay. Hi, everybody. My name is Olga Shands. I'm with the Office of Home and Energy Program. You can hear me, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, perfect. Okay, so I'm going to share this. Let's see. Let me know when you could see it. Okay.
Yep, we can see it. Thank you.
You could see it, right? Okay, perfect. So let me figure out how I'm gonna make this full screen. Okay. So, Office of Home and Energy Program provides bill assistance to low-income households who reside in Montgomery County to make energy costs more affordable and to help with the prevention of loss and the restoration of home energy services. I'm going to be brief here. There's a lot of information that we need to share, but I will just share some key or highlights of our program. So we have two main grants as MIP. One is MIP and the other one is EUSP, where our residents actually submit application for. These grants are, the program starts July 1st at this point, and it goes until June of the following year. So residents of Montgomery County can apply once a year, every year for this program and for these grants. Also, if they have a bill that or balance on their bill that is 300 or more, they can also qualify for the Arrears Retirement Assistance, which is the other two ones that you see on the screen. For electric, we have one for electric, and the other one we also have for gas. And for these grants, a person can qualify for up to $2,000 but they have to have at least $300 balance on their bill. And also, they will not be eligible if they already received grant for the last 5 years. The household income is on your screen. This is the household income for this program year. We've been having different changes to the income year to year. This is the current income. You could see the household size on the left. On the right, you see the income guidelines for the household size per person. Okay, and the earnings are for 30 days. Okay, 30 days at a time. So this is not yearly, annually, it's monthly guidelines. So I'm gonna post this also because this is important. Our dates for the program are July again through June 30th every year. And also we have November 1st through March 31st as a crisis season. So what we do during that time, customers who do not have heat or come with disconnection for heat, we actually prioritize those customers during that period that is on your screen, November 1st through March 31st. And we are trying to get them back connected so they don't spend time being with no heat. The same thing, it just happens throughout the whole year. So if we have customers coming to us with disconnect notice for electric as well throughout the whole entire year, and they have disconnection notice, we do place hold, 55-day hold, so we can actually resolve their situation by providing benefits if we can. However, this year the benefits have been lower. Because the state of Maryland actually did have some new program that we were able to service. It's called Categorical Eligible Program. So now what happened this year, actually, we have more people that are applying. But the funding didn't change. So the funding actually decreased. It's about $100 to $200 that the household can receive towards electric bill if they don't qualify for arrears assistance this year. This is how it's been kind of low on the lower side. But at the same time, more people could apply and receive benefits because we have a new program. It's categorical eligible program, and what it is basically, if person qualified and received benefits for programs such as TCA or SNAP, they basically became automatically eligible for our program. So, and therefore, you can only imagine we have a lot of people this year, more customers that we serviced than any years before. So we're located in Rockville on Picard Drive, where you can send your customers to submit application in person. We can also receive applications online or by email. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to email us or just ask, I guess, if you have any questions right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Olga. If people have questions about the programs that OHEP offers, and they do these signups right at the event at their resource booth when they come to Power in the Park, Olga represents the Montgomery County arm of OHEP, but there is the statewide agency as well. So we're happy to help make those connections as needed to those who live elsewhere. Next on the list to speak is Interfaith Power and Light with Anjali. Anjali, I know you have some images to share as well. If you want to go ahead and get started. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rose. My name's Anjali. I use she, her pronouns, and I work with Interfaith Power and Light for the DC, Maryland, and Northern Virginia region. We help congregations and communities of all faith traditions go green and respond to climate change through projects and advocacy. So we have attended Power in the Park a few times. My last time was in October of 2023 with Delegate Charkoudian. And it's a great chance to do public education about the harms of gas burning and the positive alternatives. We're also connected to congregations through people that come to Power in the Park if we aren't already connected with their house of worship. And we hear directly from residents about ideas they may have for their respective congregations and their homes. So we offer light switch reminders in both English and Spanish that remind people to conserve energy when they are not using their lights. And we also have this really fun induction cooking demonstration with chocolate fondue, and I'm gonna share a few pictures with you guys. Can everyone see? So this is a fun picture of me and Delegate Charkoudian. Sorry when it's a little blurry. And this chocolate fondue, which is vegan and gluten-free, is on an induction cooktop that just plugs into the wall. So it's pretty cheap and accessible, renter friendly. And when people ask questions about reducing their gas stove emissions, replacing the entire appliance can be so expensive, but this is really accessible to immediately lower the NO2 emissions for their families. We also have handouts that feature resources and information for home electrification updates and solar in both English and Spanish, which I think is really great because so much of mainstream climate related resources are in English, and thus they exclude a significant part of Maryland's residents who speak Spanish. So when I was at the Power in the Park, there was a point made by many organizations to have Spanish resources of everything that was available in English, which I found really special and probably made residents feel more comfortable to inquire about certain upgrades or general questions they've been meaning to ask, but perhaps didn't feel were well received in English only spaces. We also like to stay connected with folks, just, signing up to be in our network in case there are grassroots advocacy opportunities or events we can engage folks in, or in case there are new clean energy opportunities that come across our radar later than when we met them. So yeah, it's such a fun time being outdoors in community with residents, resource providers, and representatives to share what clean energy options are available to save money and live greener. So many kids and parents loved the chocolate fondue. It kept them near the table while we gave our spiel and showing how yummy and easy fossil fuel free cooking can be. It was also fun that people had passports that they could get stamped at every table to encourage them to make their rounds. It was kind of like a winnable game that made it easy for kids to stay engaged too. And it's also great networking with other green organizations. Since we're most used to talking on the screen and Zoom, it's good to know what greening resources to have on our radar when we work with congregations, as well as what folks are feeling are missing in their homes and what we can do our part for to fill the gap in. So when we get to coordinate with our peers face to face, we build stronger coalitions and more resilient resources to serve communities with. So I just think this event overall is great because not everyone always gets the opportunity to learn how to save money on their energy bill, especially at a time right now when folks are really feeling a stretch in their wallet. And also just to go green in an affordable way, especially those people working really hard to provide for their families who may need it the most. So it's so important for this type of opportunity to be made available to all and not just those who are already plugged in with privilege. So we have a couple pictures. My colleagues went to the last Power in the Park as well. Here, we have Andrea, Joshua, Ethan, and then some friends with Sierra Club. As you can see, the fondue is a hit over the years, and I apologize for these pictures being blurry. But yeah, we have a great time also with Action in Montgomery, telling people about the gas testing work that we've done, actually inviting people to request to get their gas stove emissions tested because we have an NO2 monitor that we share with the Sierra Club. And people's eyes are really opened when they realize how many emissions they're breathing in at home every time they cook, because it's something that we can't see, smell, feel, or taste. And I think a lot of people's hearts have opened to clean energy alternatives just from that. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Anjali. That was great. IPL is such a good partner in terms of coordinating with the community because they have such in-depth roots to the communities widespread. So she's a great partner to reach out to if you're planning on doing Power in the Park in your own area. And the induction stove is always a great hit because, like she said, it's fun. And also, we usually have one as a prize. And so people get to see it before and it generates excitement. Next on our list of speakers is the Department of Housing and Community Development, which I believe Josh is speaking for. Josh, if you have something to share on the screen, feel free. And if not, then we will go back to my screen.
Good afternoon, everyone. Yeah, I apologize. I was in prepare. I thought my colleague would actually be here to share some of our programs that we offer. Um, so I don't have anything actually prepared to present currently. But I mean, we do offer a lot of energy programs for low-income families, in which we are trying to help better the communities as well as the individual households. We were present at the last Power in the Park event. I think it was really beneficial to be able to just talk to the community members, show them that there are resources available for them, and I think yeah, this is a very beneficial event.
Thank you so much, Josh. DHCD is a great partner to have as they offer statewide programs, like he mentioned, and um, fill a great role in getting people signed up directly for programs that include weatherization and energy efficiency that can directly impact people.
And
I
I'll
think,
just,
yeah, go
sorry,
ahead, Mark.
so I'll just jump in on that. I mean, and this is one of the areas where really broad community education becomes particularly important because we need to be organizing our folks to, like we need to be able to organize tenants and so on to be able to ask their landlords to engage with DHCD. So DHCD's presence and all the groups that do similar work is crucially important as part of the partnership.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Delegate. Our next speaker is Brittany Baker with the Chesapeake Climate Action Network, who ran this event for several years and will give us some in-depth guidance on outreach and the guide that she created.
Thank you, Rose, and hello, everyone. Most of you are familiar faces, but some new faces as well. Feel free to go back to your slides if you would like, Rose, especially so people can see the guide and what it looks like. And just like Rose stated, I'm going to cover two things on this call. One is the very difficult, very necessary, deep outreach that's required to have a successful event. And two, a little primer on the guide, what it is and what it is not. So to start off with the deep outreach, the recommendation for, well, first of all, what is deep outreach? Deep outreach is how you're getting the word out about your event. Unlike some other events, you can't just post on social media and send out one email. You really have to go to the community and have conversations about why the event is important and what people will receive when they arrive. And so what you want to do is pick a tight radius around your site. If you have the event in a park, which is what we recommend, it should be outdoors. So outdoors in a high traffic area where people usually are in the area, maybe going to work, maybe it's along a bus route, or maybe it's right near a grocery store. All of that is important in terms of considering your location. And then literally, if it's best when it's right in the middle of either some multifamily buildings or some tight residential other type of development, so that you can really go there and have conversations with the people who are living and working in the area. And so what you need to do in order to have a successful event is have regular flyering in the area leading up to the event. At least 3 weeks out, you want to get to know your community members, passing flyers directly to people's hands and be having conversations. You can also line like the medians in the street or in people's yards with yard signs to let them know the event is up and coming. And also I recommend hanging a giant banner as big as you can make it right there at the park. So everyone, as they drive past in their normal daily activities, they'll notice and say, wow, there's an important event that will be held in this park pretty soon. Some of the types of other than door knocking and standing right near the area to pass out flyers, some other ways to get the word out about the event include food distributions that are right in the area, community events that are right in the area, and also you can partner with your local school in two ways. One, if you're lucky, if you really know how to build relationships, You could ask the school to send out a message about the event via whatever communication they use, or you can ask them to send home the flyers in the students' backpacks. But also you can engage the school, particularly if it's a middle school or a high school, and ask students to volunteer. And that really, really increases the amount of attendees that you'll have, and it helps to build partnerships with local organizations, legislators, and the school community. And then the last thing I want to say about deep outreach is when you're planning a Power in the Park event, you need to have two types of partners. Yes, you will have your resource booth partners like your local utility, DHCD, your local OHEP office, but you need to have a completely separate bucket of community partners that maybe they do English classes in the area, or the local churches, schools, food distributions. And those are the groups that will help you to get the word out for the event and ensure that you'll have robust participation. And so now to pivot a little bit, I want to talk about the how-to guide, which you see on your screen. And I believe, Rose, should people email you if they would like a copy of the guide?
We will send it out to everyone with the recording.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. So it's going out with the recording, and here's what to expect from the guide. So the guide covers the main values, principles, and a little checklist you need in order to plan your own Power in the Park event. It's somewhat of a step-by-step, but also many pieces in the step are very unique to your exact location, the exact constituency you'll be serving with that location. For example, I would love to give information in the how-to guide about how to secure your park permits, but if you're doing it in a different county, then I don't know what the permitting process is like. So that's why it's not an exact step-by-step that you can follow to the T, but it is a general guideline of how to execute the event. Three things I want to highlight that you'll find in the guide. One of the essential values of Power in the Park is accessibility. And that looks like, one, making sure that your park location is ADA compliant, and anything you need to do to ensure that, you make sure to do that. Two, make sure you walk towards and are very vigilant about having translation services, especially if you have communities near the area that speak other languages other than English. And also be sure if you need ASL support that you get that. Number two, make sure you cater to the demographic that's right near the park. For example, Angeli gave a very good example of how in general at Delegate Charkoudian's Power in the Park events, when she's doing raffle prizes, she does induction cooktops, because that's very accessible even for apartment dwellers who are the constituencies that are served by the event and live right near the park. And last but not least, I saw that some community organizations, nonprofit organizations were commenting in the chat and indicating that they would be interested in doing a Power in the Park event. Fantastic. This event is driven by nonprofit groups who are excited about the topic, but make sure you get legislator support, legislator buy-in, and your legislators attend as well. Because one of the intentions of the event, just like Delegate Charkoudian stated earlier, is for it to be bidirectional. We learn things about how OHEP, about how energy assistance, about how weatherization programs can be improved through the experience of navigating these conversations at the tables. And last but not least, it's important for legislators to be present, because it is a little bit of an accountability moment. If your local utility shows up and their Empower offerings aren't that great, well, then that's an opportunity to say, hey, whatever local utility, we need you to provide better Empower giveaways. So I just wanted to share all of that, and I'm always a resource for people who are doing Power in the Park events. I'll put my email in the chat just in case anyone needs it.
Thank you so much, Brittany. She was truly a champion in getting this event handled for several years in a row and creating such a resource like the guide, which, like we said, will get out to everybody once we have the recording finalized. It's a great opportunity to learn more about it and how to actually implement it in your community. Our next speaker is Jennifer Laszlo Mizrahi, who will speak to some of the financial aspects. Jennifer, if you want to go ahead.
I am so excited about this event and the work that you all are doing, and to see the people who are joining for this webinar just makes me so thrilled. This Power in the Park program is incredibly timely because, as we know, sadly, we cannot count on the federal government to be doing good climate policy right now, number one. Number two, even with great intentions, the state is highly limited in the money that they have to do climate work. And so much of what we need to do as a state is for the people power, for those of you, those of us who care about these issues, to really build grassroots activism that will move the needle in terms of the amount of greenhouse gases that we're putting off, but also at the same time to recognize that things are really expensive, and we need to make sure that people have access to these programs that can help them keep the power on and do the best they can with limited incomes. So I love this program and would like to see a lot more places do it. And I also really appreciate the synergy of when we have state elected officials work in partnership with volunteers and nonprofits. And thus, if you are part of a group of people that wants to do a first ever Power in the Park in your area, I'd be very happy to donate the first $1,000 to get it off the ground. For you to do that, you need to have a minimum of 3 partners. Those partners will be a state senator, a state delegate, and a 501c3 nonprofit. Why? Because I legally can only donate to nonprofits with money from our fund. And so we need a nonprofit. And I think that's true of a lot of people who do philanthropy. So you want to have a nonprofit that is respected in your community that we can make our checks out to. And the reason for the delegates and the state senators is they're just beloved by their communities, and they have real ability to pull in people and use their own email and other communications to build an audience. So if you have those 3 partners, send me an email. I'll do it for the first 5 groups. And if you've already done a Power in the Park, but you didn't have 3 partners yet, and you can put together 3 partners, we'll do that for you as well for a first time with at least 3 partners. I had put my email in the chat. Feel free to send me a note, but I'm very excited about this. I also want to put in a plug for one other thing. Some of you are just super volunteers, and you're really good at putting on events. And so if you enjoy doing this kind of work, I hope you'll do it not only in your own district, but maybe we could create a super team of people that go around to different parts of the state and help put these on, at least for the day of, to be a resource, because it can be a little difficult, at least the first time you do an event. It can be a little scary. So having seasoned volunteers who are willing to help in other places is always very helpful. Thank you to Delegate Lorig Cherkoudian and everyone who is involved in this effort. Thank you to all who are doing this.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. What a generous offer. That is a great opportunity for people who are looking to start this process, knowing that fundraising can be intimidating. And so having somebody already on your team like Jennifer is such a great opportunity. I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen so we can all see each other. Next steps on our agenda is I and Tierney Acosta, who are on Delegate Cherkoudian's team for planning Power in the Park this year, wanted to introduce ourselves and give a few tidbits of general advice for doing Powers in the Park, and then we'll open it up to the Q&A. Tierney, if you want to say hello and introduce yourself.
Hi, everyone. I apologize for the background noise. But my name is Tierney Acosta. I'm a legislative aide for Delegate Charkoudian, and this will be my second Power in the Park with her office. Rose and Brittany have really been a dream team in helping getting all of this done together and figuring out ways to help our community really have direct access to these amazing programs. So I love these experiences, and I've learned a lot throughout this process. And like everyone has kind of been saying, with the right team, it really can work so well to be able to do this. And we're here to support you all in utilizing these programs and starting them in your own communities for whatever you need.
Fantastic. Thank you, Tierney. One thing we did want to mention in general is the idea of fiscal sponsorship, which Brittany can speak more towards in a moment if she'd like to. But this is the idea of having a nonprofit community partner who acts as the agency to hold the funds that you raise for this event and to be the one to physically pay the bills in terms of the rentals and the permits and the food and things like that. Because as you know, offices of the state government can't accept funds and dispense funds necessarily in that way. And so having a partner like that is truly crucial. We have one that's different for both of our events based on the location. CCAN, who Brittany works with now, is our White Oak partner in that sense. And Brittany, if you want to touch more on that.
Sure, yeah. Securing that fiscal sponsor is essential. It's pretty much the second step in planning a Power in the Park after deciding that you want to do one. And essentially, the third step is collecting all your funds. It can take a long time, not because people aren't excited to support your event, but just the process of securing the sponsorships and getting all the checks in is really, really one of the lengthiest portions of planning the event. So that's what I have to say about the fiscal sponsorship.
Thank you so much, Brittany. I just wanted to be sure that at the end here, I mentioned that Tierney and I can absolutely be resources to any offices looking to do an event. If you have questions about the process, Brittany as well is truly an expert and a font of knowledge. And so the three of us are happy to answer any questions or hop on a call if you have concerns. I already see that the chat is going very well in terms of people connecting and figuring out what it looks like to have partners in your area to start an event like this. I will now open up the field to questions and answers. If anyone has a question, feel free to raise your hand or to drop it in the chat and we can see about getting it answered. I did see one person message me about, oh, thank you, Delegate Woods. Feel free to hop on and ask your question.
Yeah, so basically, I'm very, very impressed and very interested in hosting one in the southern region. I'm in District 26, so I have a senator, I have a great nonprofit in mind, and I would definitely love to get some more information. And I've talked to some of my colleagues. I see Delegate Charkoudian, who's the best. And I think someone said that Senator Henson has done this before. So I'm very much interested in doing it and bringing it to my area in Southern Maryland. So I definitely would love to have a conversation with some folk.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Delegate Woods. We're happy to connect over email to some of the partners that were on here today and make sure that you get the guide and have any questions answered. I see Jennifer put her email in the chat as well.
I also just wanted to say that in the chat, I put the application for the ABLE Foundation. They're a Baltimore-based foundation, and any group in the Baltimore area looking to do a Power in the Park should apply for support from them. Their applications go up to $10,000, so that's very significant help.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. And I see the next question raised also from Senator Henson's office.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Burl Downs from Senator Henson's office, and this would be our third Power in the Park. And I think we went into this thing a few years ago as when I came on board, where we really wanted to help people as this program is supposed to do. But I find that people don't really understand what it is when they think about power in the park. They really don't understand. And we spend an awful lot of time trying to educate, as Brittany says, that's part of the deep outreach that needs to happen. But one of the questions I have for those who have done successful power in the parks, how do you get the people that really need it out? We ran into in Anne Arundel County and Annapolis in particular, the city was helping, assisting people with their utility bills, so they didn't see a need to come out. They were getting the help that they needed. They didn't see it long term. Any suggestions on that? And also, Jennifer, thank you. Jennifer's our constituent, so thank you for all you're doing. But any suggestions on how to get the people who really need the help out?
Rose, I'll take that. Thank you. I think I don't know if you were here when I was doing my intro. My main goal when I started this was like, how do we make conversations about energy and climate exciting and sexy, right? And you're right that if we go to people and we're like, come talk about energy and climate, as much as it breaks my heart, they don't come out for that. But they do come out for free food and a DJ and face painting. And the trick is then to do something that gets people to the booths, right? And so what we've done at the Powers in the Park that we have, there's sort of two things. One is it's gotten to the point in Long Branch where people are like, oh yeah, that's that party that happens every year. And so they're coming out because it's the party. But we know because we also track, people are getting enrolled in things because we have a tracker to make sure they're getting enrolled. So it's not just a party. And then and this is all in the manual, but I'll just highlight a few things. And this is the team that's come up with this, Brittany in particular. So you're coming to a party, right? That's why people are coming initially. Then in order to get in the raffle, they have to sign up. They have to go to every single booth and have their passport stamped. And you just have to make sure that the people stamping the passport actually have a conversation with people instead of just stamping it and moving them along. And, some people hear about energy assistance and they're like, oh, I'm good. City of Annapolis takes care of me or whatever it might be. And other people hear about it and they're like, oh, no, I need that. Or I know someone who needs it, and community solar, or they're testing out chocolate on an induction stove. And so one, people come because it's a party. Two, people find out about the stuff. And then when they find out, they tend to get enrolled. And we found that over time, because it's an annual thing now, people who may have come the first year because it's a party, the second year they brought their kids because it was a cool thing. And by the third year, they're asking really deep questions about climate and energy and really interested in a different way. So I see it as a part of a long-term, again, like I said, for me, my role as a delegate, like democracy is an ongoing conversation, and energy is an important piece of the conversation we're having. And so I think of this really as that ongoing conversation. I'll be here every year throwing a party, and part of that will be people signing up for, weatherization, electrification, energy assistance, how to read your bill. And then, kids learn, we have the volunteers who learn from it about climate and then come on and become interns in my office. So I think thinking about it long term, but really framing something that people want to come to because it's a fun event, not necessarily initially because we're going to talk about energy.
Good, thank you. We have followed your model, and we have done the music, we've done the food truck, we have a food giveaway, we have a partner that does a food giveaway. So yes, thank you for your model and sharing, because we've done that. But I think, it's the old, like you said, it's a long-term relationship, but it's not a problem until it's their problem. And so that's the other thing that happens when we see that. Some people just take the food and get in their car. And so we've moved it around a couple of times. And we've also added the police department and fire department to our Power in the Park with demonstrations with their K-9 unit and with the fire department because kids get attracted to that. So I agree. Anything you can bring to draw them in is a good thing. Thank you.
Thank you. I see Brittany and Jennifer both have hands raised. Is that in response to this question or is that separate? Okay, great.
I
Brittany,
did
thought you
want
were
to
first.
comment on the question a little bit. Two things that Delegate Charkoudian always is really, really careful to be very careful about in relation to what you just asked is one, the location. Because sometimes we think a location is good because, oh, it's very flat and there's really good parking and there's a nice pavilion. But actually, if we're looking to serve those who really need the services, that's not the best location. And so, like the location that we've been using year after year in White Oak, there's no parking. You got to walk down a big hill to get there. It's very difficult to get all of our tables and chairs up there. But literally, there's like 300 people that if they're dropping their kids off from the school and going home, they have to walk through that park to get home. And so really carefully selecting your location to say, we want to serve this particular group, and this is the park that they have access to is super important. And the second thing I will say is you have to be really, really strict in relation to your resource booths. Like even my group, when we participate in a Power in the Park, my boss, because he's not a person who really is connected to the values or has planned one of these events, he'll say, oh, well, go pass out some CCAN flyers and give out some CCAN swag. But that's not what you want to do, because actually then it becomes any old resource fair. And so if you're really strict with your booths and say, no, you must have something that people are going to walk away from your booth and have a change energy situation, then that's when people know not only am I going to go there and get my face painted and have food, but I'm going to walk away with lower utility bills and signed up for community solar and with 4 LED light bulbs and weather stripping. I'm sitting in my house cold right now. That weather stripping is going to help me. Put all of that on the flyer and the people will come.
I just want to point out that we're entering a new situation with the federal government, and SNAP benefits are being cut and Medicare is being cut. And we know that low income federal assistance for heat and energy is being cut. And so people are going to need these resources more than ever, and they might need more help navigating it. So having good people at the booths and making sure we've lined up people who can really answer questions will be very important. In terms of getting people to come, I must say that I'm very frustrated with the distance that people feel between government and making a difference in people's lives. That right now people feel so frustrated and angry about government that it really causes even more cynicism. And so I really see this as an opportunity to take campaign teams that ordinarily might help you win an election by going door to door and canvassing, and instead go door to door inviting people to this event, and also use it as an opportunity to ask, hey, what's going on with your family? What are the issues that you're feeling and experiencing, and to really build more trust between state delegates and senators. And I know that Senator Henson and your team do a great job on that. But there is a real need to build trust and connection between people in our communities.
Yes, I agree. Thanks, Jennifer. And Brittany, thank you. You're exactly right. We did ours at Heritage Baptist Church, which is right on Forest Drive. So we got a lot of people just coming off of the main fairway saying, what's going on over here? They didn't know about it, but they saw us over there. They could smell the food truck, and then they just came. So you're exactly right about that.
Thank you so much. What a great conversation about implementation. I also see that Delegate McComas has her hand raised if you wanted to ask a question.
Yes. Just real quick, we have some community events, and one of them I was thinking that might be a good venue possibly, but I don't know, would be we have a farm fair, and it's like usually 3 or 4 days, and we will have different people come. You'll have a Republican booth and a Democrat booth, and then you'll have a anti-abortion booth. But is that something that you could have something on? Because a lot of the folks that are in the rural areas, things are tight for them. And I don't think we realize it because they're not as visible that they're having making ends meet. My district is not really in that area. That's up north, or it's because I'm in the development envelope. That's my district. And we have some of probably the nicest homes in the country, quite honestly. But and we have a lot of townhomes. But the point is that I think we need to get to the folks that are, kind of living a more subsistence environment. The folks that live in trailers, that, are out there, they might not have the greatest septic systems. Some of them are old and they don't have family, and they just can't make ends meet. And, they have trouble getting to and from for their medical appointments because they maybe don't have the transportation. So anyway, I was thinking maybe a farm fair might be something, but I mean, because we've had this for many, many years now, and then it discontinued and then it got started up again. So I was wondering if that would be okay to maybe consider that as the first bite at the apple for Harford County.
I'll jump in. I mean, I think that I appreciate you raising that. It's one of the issues that I've been trying to highlight, even while I'm highlighting the issues of energy poverty in my own district, which is more dense, is just how vast energy struggles are in rural areas, whether it's trailers or homes that aren't well weatherized or whatever it might be. So I'm so glad that you're here, and I'm so glad that you're talking about those pieces. And I think you can obviously add these booths to anything that's going on. I think it would be an interesting idea, and there might be a way to actually, if you worked with organizers of the farm fair, to say, like, this section over here is the Power in the Park section. So you just still have the energy, no pun intended, that comes with all the pieces of, like, here's all the different ways you can save money, save energy, shift to cleaner indoor air, shift to more comfortable indoor air, especially if you're in like a poorly weatherized building. You might be able to find a way to have like the Power in the Park section of the farm fair. And it's possible that if you're in an area where you don't have folks like in Long Branch, where people, as Brittany described, are walking through, when they're dropping their kids off at school, that may be the better way to do it in a rural area, especially if the organizers will let you kind of have a section that is that, so you can build the same kind of energy at it.
Well, I do know that there are some days that you can get in free. There's Senior Day, and I think it's a discounted. And then they have a lot of cool stuff. With the animals. They have an auction. They have the dogs that are running into a pool, and how far they can go and everything. And they have horses and stuff, and they have tractor pulls. And believe it or not, tractor pulls are probably the most liked thing. But unfortunately, like most things, everybody has to raise their rates to have to be able to come in. But they may have some days for different things that people can get in for free, like the seniors. But I was just thinking that because I do think the problem is that because we have a development envelope and a lot of the people are in that development envelope, we kind of neglect what's going on in the rural areas, and it's very vast. I mean, we are a big county, which has a lot of farmland, and we used to have 400 dairies and 400 canneries. Now we're down to a couple dairies and a couple. I don't think we have any canning. But agriculture is very important, but it's harder. It's being harder and harder for the farmers to keep it together. And I if you can't eat, it's not good for all of us. So I just wondered if that, so you kind of think that maybe that might be a viable option. It's kind of, I'm getting the feeling of that.
Thank you, Delegate. I see Brittany also has her hand raised and she might have comments on that as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to share a few comments. It definitely sounds like a feasible way to bring these resources into communities. And I really appreciate such a description of your community. It sounds very beautiful and very unique. I think the two things to be reminded of when you try to bring Power in the Park resources into a general resource fair is one, especially how you explain the uniqueness of this community and the unique issues they have related to energy. Remind your resource booths of that, because they might need a lot different services than the resource booths would provide to an area like the middle of Prince George's County. So just really remind them of that so they can tailor their offerings to the community that's going to be served. And the other thing is, and this is a tough thing, and I think this is one of the reasons Delegate Charkoudian decided to do Power in the Park as an independent event that only focuses on energy, is sometimes when you have these resources at a general resource fair, people will see like the banners and the titles, and they won't even walk over to the booths because they're not familiar with the names of the programming. You know, it's not as common as like SNAP or SSA or many other resources that people are more plugged into. So that's just something you have to pay attention to and try to find a solution. For example, Delegate Charkoudian was speaking of how at her Power in the Park events, you get a passport and you have to go to all of the booths in order to be entered into the raffle. And so that's just a piece of the event that you lose when you have these services at a larger event that's not catered to Power in the Park.
Thank you very much.
Great, thank you, everybody. To be mindful of our time, I know it's a holiday weekend coming up and we have about 1 minute left. And I see people are connecting in the chat, so I will save that and make sure if there's connections there between nonprofits and offices that we can continue those offline. Before we close out, I wanted to thank everyone who came today and for our speakers for participating and the offices for being engaged and excited about potentially doing this in their areas. Our office will email everyone the guide and the recording from today, as we mentioned, and if anyone needs contact info for anyone who was here today, don't hesitate to ask when we send that your way. And I hope everyone has a good weekend.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for doing this, Rose. Thank you, Delegate. Thank you.